More people are unemployed in South Africa. Stats SA data shows the official unemployment rate increased by 1% from 31.9% in the fourth quarter of last year to 32.9% in the first quarter of this year. The expanded unemployment rate, including those that have given up looking for work, has gone up by 1.2 percentage points to 43.1% in the first quarter. For more on the story, now across to our SABC News economics editor, Tshepo Mongoai. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Another increase in numbers. Was this expected?
Well, not much change in terms of the overall pattern of unemployment in South Africa. Just that those numbers have somehow gotten worse or went higher. But if you look at the complex of some of the challenges that we are looking at structurally, they remain the same. Of course, you look at some of the sectors. Of course, you had some of the sectors that continue to struggle. As we know, government is not creating much jobs opportunities. You had trade, for example, that also doesn't seem to be doing very well. You also have noticed that there were some sectors that it seemed like they were doing much better this time around, like your financial sector. There we have seen a little bit of improvement. Let's bring in the statistician General Risenga Maluleke just to paint us a picture of these concerning numbers. I think first, I just want to look at the youth unemployment picture. The numbers have gotten much worse compared to the previous quarter. You have a number of young people who are not doing anything, and that number has gone up.
Tshepo, let me start by saying that we at Stats SA know that the numbers of employment and unemployment particularly are an emotive matter in society. But when we release the numbers, we don't carry the emotions with. Because if we were to carry the emotions and say they are worrying, we would never make them public. And the public needs to know. But specifically to the point that you're talking about, let us look at young people, 15 to 24 years. There are 10.3 million. Out of those, 3.8 million are not in employment, education, or training. They wake up and sit and move about. This is the highest I have seen in my career as statistician general, but even before I took over the organization, I haven't seen that number. And that returns a need rate, not in employment, education, or training rate of 37%, 37.1% to be exact. But that's when you look at them from that perspective. When you look again at young people, 15 to 24 years, about 64% of them are not in employment. They are unemployed. And these are the ones that are actively looking for employment. When you look at 25 to 34 years, you are having about 40.4% unemployment rate. When you combine young people aged 15 to 34 years, so you bring all of them without breaking them up into age cohorts, their unemployment rate is 46.1% against a national unemployment rate of 32.9%. It's even worse when they are female. The unemployment rate generally for females is higher in the country. But when they are black African female, it's much more bigger. They become much more vulnerable to labor markets.
In your term as statistician general, what has been the trend? I think in one area, the expanded definition of unemployment, which is now around 43%.
Let us start by saying that the number of the unemployed, and I'm talking about the official unemployment rate, which is sitting at 32.9%, is representative of the 8.2 million people who are unemployed and actively looking for employment. When you move you come to the discouraged work seekers, there are about 3.5 million of those. Then there is another cohort of about 1 million people who didn't look for employment, not because they were discouraged, but for any other reason. But they said if employment came, we would have taken it. Now, that 1 million is the first time we see, as let's just say, hitting the 1 million mark of people who are not discouraged, but have other reasons of not looking for employment. Of course, there are other issues that are coming at play. We are looking at new entrants into the labor markets in the first quarter, especially those who are coming from matric. So if you look at new entrants into the labor markets, we're talking about 3,847, and 80% of those are young people, are youth, aged 15 to 24 years. So having said so, when you look at the 8.2 million actively looking for employment plus 3.5 million people, discouraged work seekers plus 1 million, you come to 12.7 million people. And that represents the expanded unemployment rate of 43.1%.
Just to summarize the current picture of unemployment in South Africa, what does this tell us, given these numbers?
Well, obviously we know, Tshepo, that when you come into the first quarter, you do see a lot of new entrants. And ordinarily, you would expect them to be going out to take up opportunities at schools or places of training and the like. And when they don't find places of training, they go out and look for employment. And they are not amongst the most discouraged, because when you look out of the 8.2 million people, about 5 million, 4.8 million to be exact, are young people aged 15 to 34 years. So unemployment affects young people the most in South Africa, and indeed it affects women as well, particularly Black African women.
Thank you very much. That's Statistician General Rusenga Maluleka. Some call it a ticking time bomb, but certainly highlighting a serious challenge for South Africa when it comes to youth unemployment rate. With that, back to you in studio, Juliet.
Thanks very much. Our SABC News economics editor, Tshepo Mongoai.